Poke the Box, by Seth Godin. Introduction, the premise. Poke the Box by Seth Godin is a book about initiative and the hidden cost of waiting. At its core, the book argues that progress in business, leadership, and personal development rarely comes from having the perfect plan or complete certainty. Instead, progress comes from the willingness to begin, to take action before conditions feel safe, and to accept the discomfort that comes with being early rather than late. Godin's concern is not a lack of intelligence, creativity, or resources. His concern is cultural conditioning. From an early age, most people are trained to follow instructions, avoid mistakes, and wait for permission. Over time, this conditioning becomes deeply embedded in how organizations operate and how individuals define professionalism. As a result, many capable people spend their careers executing tasks well while never initiating meaningful change. Poke the Box challenges the belief that waiting is responsible. Godin's central claim is that action is not reckless when done thoughtfully, it is necessary. Without action, ideas remain theoretical, innovation stalls, and organizations slowly lose relevance. Starting is the work. A foundational idea in Poke the Box is that starting is not a preliminary step to real work, it is the work. Many people treat starting as something that happens only after research, validation, approval, and certainty are secured. Godin argues that this mindset misunderstands how progress actually occurs. In reality, clarity comes from engagement with the real world. Plans improve after contact with reality, not before. By waiting to begin, individuals and organizations postpone learning, feedback, and momentum. Starting introduces information that cannot be obtained through analysis alone. Godin uses the phrase, poking the box, as a metaphor for initiating action. To poke the box is to do something small but intentional that creates a response. That response may be positive, negative, or neutral, but it provides information. Without that information, improvement is impossible. This reframing challenges deeply held assumptions about professionalism. In many environments, waiting looks prudent while action looks risky. Godin argues that the opposite is often true. Initiative versus compliance. Godin draws a clear distinction between compliance and initiative, two modes of behavior that coexist in nearly every organization. Compliance focuses on following established rules, meeting predefined expectations, and avoiding visible mistakes. It prioritizes predictability and stability. Initiative, on the other hand, focuses on outcomes rather than instructions. It asks whether something could be improved, not just whether it meets minimum requirements. Initiative introduces uncertainty because it involves change, experimentation, and exposure to judgment. Organizations often claim to value initiative while structurally rewarding compliance. Performance reviews, approval hierarchies, and risk-averse cultures subtly teach people that staying within bounds is safer than stepping forward. Over time, individuals adapt. They stop offering ideas, stop experimenting, and stop taking ownership beyond their job description. Godin's argument is not that compliance has no place. Systems require reliability. His argument is that progress does not originate from compliance. Progress originates from initiative, and initiative must be intentionally protected if it is to survive inside organizations. Fear and the cost of being seen. A recurring theme in Poke the Box is fear, not fear of failure itself, but fear of exposure. Starting something means being seen. It means inviting judgment, criticism, and the possibility that an idea will not work as hoped. Preparation feels safer because it can be done privately. Planning, researching, and refining ideas without launching them provides the illusion of productivity without the vulnerability of action. Godin argues that this illusion is costly. Time passes, opportunities shift, and momentum dissipates. The book challenges the assumption that more preparation reduces risk. In practice, excessive preparation often increases risk by delaying learning. When ideas remain untested, flaws remain hidden. When feedback is postponed, adaptation becomes harder. Godin reframes failure as information. A failed attempt provides data that improves the next iteration. Avoiding action avoids failure, but it also avoids progress. Perfection as a delay strategy. Godin is particularly critical of perfectionism, which he frames not as a commitment to excellence but as a form of resistance. Perfectionism delays starting under the guise of quality control. It keeps ideas trapped in revision cycles that never end. In dynamic environments, perfection is rarely achievable and often irrelevant. Conditions change too quickly. What matters more is relevance, responsiveness, and learning speed. By waiting for perfection, organizations frequently miss windows of opportunity. Godin emphasizes that work can be improved after it exists, but it cannot be improved while it remains imaginary. Shipping imperfect work creates the opportunity for refinement. Waiting does not. The smallest viable start. Importantly, Poke the Box does not advocate reckless action. Godin emphasizes thoughtful starts rather than dramatic gambles. The goal is not to risk everything on untested ideas, but to create movement. A small experiment, pilot program, prototype, or limited release can all serve as ways to poke the box. These actions minimize downside while maximizing learning. Once feedback exists, decisions become grounded in reality rather than assumption. Starting small also lowers emotional resistance. Large, high-stakes launches amplify fear. Small starts make action manageable and repeatable. Over time, repeated small actions compound into meaningful progress. Momentum, once created, tends to attract support, resources, and confidence. Stagnation repels them. Business applications. In business environments, the ideas in Poke the Box show up wherever innovation is discussed but rarely practiced. Many organizations unintentionally train employees to wait. Approval layers, rigid procedures, and fear-based performance management teach people that initiative carries personal risk. As a result, leaders often complain about a lack of ownership or creativity while unknowingly reinforcing the behaviors they dislike. Godin's framework suggests that the solution is not motivation but environment. Leaders who apply these ideas focus on reducing friction rather than increasing pressure. They shorten feedback loops, normalize small experiments, and protect intelligent risk-taking. They reward learning rather than punishing missteps. At the organizational level, poking the box appears as pilot programs, rapid testing cycles, and bias toward action. At the individual level, it appears as ownership, people acting like contributors rather than task completers. Organizations that fail to encourage initiative often find themselves reacting to change rather than leading it. Actionable takeaways. Progress begins with action, not permission, and waiting for certainty delays learning. Small, intentional actions provide feedback that improves decision-making. Compliance maintains systems, but initiative drives progress. Perfectionism often masks fear rather than commitment to quality. Leadership is as much about removing barriers to action as it is about setting direction. Poke the Box is ultimately a reminder that meaningful change rarely begins with consensus or comfort. It begins when someone is willing to act before being asked and accept the responsibility that comes with starting. If this summary was useful, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more insights on leadership and personal development in less than 10 minutes. Godin, Seth, Poke the Box, Portfolio, 2011.